What's up, everybody? Gojo here, and we're back talking about the Creature Commandos. And I know I already made a video about this, but I finished the series. And I have to say, this is probably one of, if not, I wouldn't say the best, but the best adult animated DC project that has come out so far, because I think a lot of their projects are more aimed towards everybody, large audiences, general audiences, young adults, teenagers, if you will. But this right here is for mature audiences, and I cannot stress that enough. It's not the best DC show. It has its flaws. I'd even say I wish there was more episodes, but this show right here has something special, and I wanted to go through a couple of the episodes with you guys. So the first episode starts off with Amanda Waller from the original Suicide Squad movies. All these actors are played by the same people that played them in the real movies, and they're going to continue to play them in the upcoming DC universe. So they kind of reset it by just not having any of the characters that were in those movies other than Peacemaker. Peacemaker, I think, is one of the few heroes or people that's transferring over. But Amanda Waller from the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker show assembled this team with Rick Flag that died in the original Suicide Squad, or the Suicide Squad movie. He died in that one, and Peacemaker killed him. So this is his dad. His dad was the leader of this team. Even though his dad was retired, they brought him back to lead this team because his son died, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The team is comprised of Weasel, G.I. Robot, voiced by, respectively, Sean Gunn. That would be James Gunn's brother. Zoe Chow, who voices, what's her face? I forget her name, Nina. And then we have the bride, voiced by Indira Varma. And then we have Dr. Phosphorus, Alan Tudyk. And then Frank Grillo voices Senior Rick Flag. So moving on, we got the episode being about them introducing their problem. So there's a threat that has arisen that they're trying to protect the princess from, blah, blah, blah. And usually each episode they do at least one fight, and I think this episode's fight scene was choreographed perfectly. If not one of the best fight scenes, I think it's the second best. I think the relationship between these two is amazing. The conflict that happens ends up being that they find out that the princess is actually a threat that they have to take out, but this ends up only becoming the case because of miscommunications. But I'll let you guys watch the show. Obviously, here's some of the pictures from the second episode. Second episode being about the origin story of the bride and how Victor Frankenstein created Frankenstein's monster. It's loosely based on the story by I think it's Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley made the book Frankenstein. She's the original creator of the Frankenstein book. And the original book is actually pretty good. Like, I read it in high school. I actually really liked it. But this character is a lot more, has a lot more nuances that make the character a lot more unlikable. But I think that's to play up this character a lot more. And then another thing is that character is voiced by one of my favorite actors. But we'll get into that. This episode was really good. I wouldn't rank it very high because it was obviously one of the beginning stories for a reason. It's not as impactful as some of the other stories. Plus, it's just a lot. They lived throughout the ages, so you kind of have to get the other side of the story with Frankenstein to see the full picture. But moving on, we have the third episode, which is Cheers to the Tin Man. There's no photos for this one, but if I had to sum up what this one was about, which it was fucking amazing. I think Sean Gunn does an amazing job acting and voice acting. I don't think a lot of voice actors have the ability to fully put into action what they can do with their voice. But he definitely, in his roles in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and 3, I think he did an amazing job. But anyway, Cheers to the Tin Man is a story about PTSD, pretty much. I think that's the gist of what they were trying to say, but with a robot. And it starts off with him killing Nazis in World War II. You get the gist of the character in the first episode with him asking every second of every moment he gets any time of dialogue is, can I kill Nazis yet? Are these Nazis? Can I kill Nazis? It's just kind of like tropey until he finally gets to his episode where they tell the full episode of him and why he wants to kill Nazis so bad. It's his prime directive. And after the war, since he's a robot, they tell the story very congruently, like without time being a factor. So they'll skip 20 years without it even being a fucking note. So they skip from him fighting Nazis to him 20 years later after post-war, and he's doing interviews and doing shows, and then he eventually gets picked up throughout all of this time, like 40 years, 50 years later, gets picked up by this fucking racist dude, and chaos ensues. So that episode was really good. I enjoyed the Cheers to the Tin Man a lot. I think it was like a very satisfying episode, if you will, which I don't think this show has a lot of, but it definitely can use it. I don't think it needs to be 100% sadness like this episode here, which I would argue is the best episode in the entire series, if not the 9th or the 8th episode, or 7th episode, my bad. I really like chasing squirrels. I think the symbolic nature of, you do not know what's in somebody else's backpack. You don't know what somebody else has been through, and that idea is exemplified tenfold when you idealize the fact that this man cannot talk. This man isn't necessarily a man. And it also exemplifies the fact that our justice system in the United States of America isn't the best. It is very one-sided, and the people who execute the justice aren't always the best at doing that job. I don't want to make this political video, but I definitely think that this episode was something to say about cops, about our justice system, about our society in general, and the way we function with people not knowing anything about them, not knowing anything about their history. Trauma is a big thing, and this character is traumatized. Like, I love the way James Gunn took this character and he made him from the most unserious, unlikable fucking Jar Jar Binks ass, why is he there characters, to this character needs to be in every iteration of this upcoming universe I see moving forward. And when he dies, I will bawl my fucking eyes out. And that is all I got to say about this episode. Go watch this show right now. Moving on, we got episode 5, The Iron Pot. So this episode is purely about Frankenstein's perspective of the story, him being created, him having the bride be created for him being too rash, basically having the fully cultivated mind of an adult inside the body and aging process of a child. So this creation, Frankenstein, hasn't had the full nature of a childhood, a teenage years, the adulthood, and all he has is the experience of not having parents, not having any structure in life. So a lot of those facts are evident throughout his actions of non-remorse, non-empathy. He is very close-minded, and his view is very narrow. He is very one-tracked perspective. So like everything he does is to get to his one goal, which is getting the bride. The bride he thinks was made for him, and he deserves her. And I don't want to spoil what happens in this episode, but I think this episode also is a contender for one of the best fight scenes in the entire show. But let's get into an episode that my personal favorite episode. I don't think that any episode compares to this, if I were to put my own opinion in without any, like, objectively, not subjectively, objectively, my opinion, what I think is the best episode is Pyretal Skeleton. I think this character is my favorite character amongst all of the Creature Commandos. He's the funniest, he's the most compelling, he's the most psychotic. Even though he is the only other one that was human, he's the only one that is a pure fucking monster, bro. A pure fucking villain. This guy made me want to read the comics that involve him. Like, he's not even a main character. He is a side character in Batman's original comic books. And he made me want to go back and read some of those comic books just to see how good of a villain he was. But I honestly think this episode has the best fight scene in it. It has one of the best culminations of all of the plot. I think this is the climax. This is the, you know what I mean? This is the meat, the juice. And you can really say that about both these episodes. I don't want to spoil what happens. I know there's a lot of ass right here, but Nina just like that. We're not going to talk about it, but I definitely think that Nina is the empathy of the group. The if you will say, one of the people that least deserves it, even though none of these people deserve it. I think that despite her circumstances, she has made the most of her situation by being the most human. I don't know if you guys heard that fart, but I farted twice, so enjoy that. But this episode right here, A Very Funny Monster, is the culmination of all 7 episodes put together into one. And I think that it really, really shows you what he's trying to do with the DC universe. I'm trying my best not to spoil this show without, while simultaneously explaining to you the impact it's going to have on the DC universe. I think that, because in this episode, they do show Batman, spoiler alert, they do show Batman, the Batman they're going to use in the Brave and the Bold movie. And it just shows you that this DC universe is filled with characters that are going to be more than just I am the villain, I want to kill everybody. Like, it's not that dynamic for every character like it is a lot of the times, or can be with some of the superheroes. Like, DC's taking the chance to show you that not every character is rooted in evil, even though that may be what it seems like for some of the heroes. Like, not every hero cares about the backstory. Like, that's just the truth of the matter. Not every hero from DC is the Flash. And I think that's pretty important. And I think that's something that James Gunn shines with. And in my personal opinion, I think that any director or creative that's able to make a compelling evil character or a compelling bad guy that has a meaning and not just being the bad guy is a masterful director. And I think he's good on both aspects of that. I don't know. I think that the third Guardians of the Galaxy movie having a whack-ass villain kind of is the only way or only movie he didn't do that in. But other than that, he really is good at telling both sides of the story very well. And thinking outside from all perspectives. But I just want to say, shouts out to the cast. I think everybody, including David Harbour, who I said I was going to talk about later, which I didn't, did a really good job. I'm sad to see this here. In the last episode, they do reveal that some of the characters did die and they were replaced by other characters. King Shark being one of the characters that replaced the original cast. I'm saying here, he is not voiced by the GOAT no more. Sylvester Stallone was the guy who voiced King Shark in the live action. I think his voice really fit the role. And I thought it was him. I was really happy. I was like, wow, they really recast my GOAT to play his animated counterpart. But looks like they recast him. They must have not been able to get this man to take a pay cut. So that's great. But yeah, I think this show is perfect. Go watch it. But yeah, with that being said, stay sturdy, my friends.